My name is Romerico F. Torres. I come from the Philippines, and I got to learn about the Merck fertility program through the local Merck representative in my country, whom I've been working with for the last couple of years. And I'm very honored to have been selected for this program and taking a break, actually not a break, but a very intensive break to come here to India and learn more to refine what I've been doing for the last few years. So in the Philippines, there exists around 6 fertility IVF labs, and one is about to come up in one or 2 years time, which will be a government type of setup. So the 6 ones that are existing are private. So that speaks about the cost of access to IVF care or fertility care in general. And I think this is a common problem anywhere you go. In the Philippines, fortunately, we have a fertility training program. There are 3 reproductive medicine fertility training programs where we have graduates of general obstetrics and gynecology residency coming into a 2-year fellowship program. So we have 3 programs catering to that. And before they become fellows or members of the Philippine Society of Reproductive Medicine, they should have finished that fellowship training of 2 years. However, in terms of the volume of IVF cases that are done during fellowship, it's quite limited. As a matter of fact, for myself, I had to go abroad to have more exposure and hands-on experience in order for me to be confident in embarking on IVF practice. And eventually, this is what I did. As the setup in other countries, these 6 IVF centers are situated in the big cities of the country. And therefore, access to people not staying in the cities will be very limited. Another thing would be the knowledge, in terms of knowledge of what is available in the country. Certain patients, especially those who are belonging to the better socioeconomic status or are more educated or are living in the cities who have access to modern ways of getting information, will have some vague idea of what consists a proper fertility treatment. But for the most part of the population, the knowledge about what they can avail of in the country is quite fair at best or poor at worst. So I think that is one of the major challenges that we have sitting in a group of fertility specialists, is to make our patients, our population, aware of what is available in the country, our success rates, and how they can access this form of treatment. So as I mentioned, I belong to a society, the Philippine Society of Reproductive Medicine, and these are all composed of 110 to 120 board-certified reproductive medicine specialists. But if you look at the population of the Philippines, we are 107 million. And the reproductive age group who might be in need of the services of these fertility specialists is around half of that population. And if you consider the rate of infertility is around 10 to 15% of that reproductive age group, then the ratio of fertility experts to those who may be needing care is very high, very high, yes. So I also want to talk about the sociocultural milieu that is present in the Philippines, which actually impact the access of patients to fertility care and what they can do. We are a predominantly Roman Catholic country, which means that third-party IVF is not allowed, wherein gametes from a donor, whether it's a oocyte or a sperm, is not allowed. And this, of course, will limit the ability of our ability to give couples the results that they want. Another thing would be, since most of these ethical guidelines are born out of the Roman Catholic teachings, we are not allowed to dispose embryos or nor donate embryos, which means that embryos that are not used remain remain frozen, but since third-party IVF is not allowed, then they cannot be donated as well, in principle. So that's also a major challenge that we are facing as fertility specialists. And of course, a big factor is the cost, as I've mentioned earlier. Now, about male infertility, we have facilities where we can freeze sperm, where we can also extract sperm, and our ideal way of extracting sperm for those who are non-obstructive azoospermics would be through microscopic testicular sperm extraction. We're able to do that. As far as the range of fertility services that we can offer, everything is available in our country: IUI, IVF, ICSI, PGS, PGD, but we have sparing access to this because of the added cost to the patient. We can also do oocyte cryopreservation, but as far as fertility preservation is concerned, we still have to master the techniques for that. Well, it's compared to female infertility, male infertility is something that the men don't openly talk about, okay? So, but it's something that the men who are suffering from such a condition may be more open to talking about with their male friends or with the male doctor without their wives. So sometimes that's the case. But usually this is dependent on the educational attainment of the husband, okay? Because his acceptance and his understanding of his condition usually hinges on his educational background. But it's something that cannot be totally talked about in public, but among certain circles, yes, they do discuss that. So fertility in general is an issue that is slowly coming into the consciousness of people. I practice in the big city, and therefore you deal with people who are very mobile. Most people are educated, they are busy with their careers. So it's something that they can bring about occasionally in parties, especially in my case, when I'm in a party and they know that I'm a fertility specialist, they will volunteer their condition. But as a whole, in public, of course, it's something that they don't talk about openly, not unless they are very much willing to volunteer their condition, or they are in a special forum, or they're with just close friends. Now, as far as stigma is concerned, again, it's dependent on the community that these infertile couples are based in. No? So if it's in the city, everyone is busy, then don't really preoccupy themselves that much with that topic. But I suppose it's a different condition when they are situated in the rural areas where there's nothing really to do. No? Well, you see most women especially just taking care of their kids, and if you are an infertile woman with no kids, so I think that will weigh heavily more on you as a consequence compared to a woman who is working in the city. There is this unique case that I had. She is a close friend of mine. And they've been trying to conceive. Actually, I've been trying to convince them to go for IVF. And then she knew that her husband was trying to get a child with another woman. And so in a way, she was hurt and stigmatized by her condition, that she could not bear children for her husband, but only in that small scale. I wouldn't know the stories of other women, but that is something that I can share to you. So that is actually what prompted her to initiate investigations for IVF, because she knew that her husband was trying to get pregnant, trying to impregnate another woman, because he really wanted to have a child. On the personal level, I have been practicing IVF for the last almost 10 years, and I saw the importance of this training to fine-tune whatever I have been doing for the past few years. And I must say that there's really a lot to improve. And I'm very happy that I got to learn about these little things which will help me improve how I deliver the service that my patients need. In terms of the patients, of course, the knowledge that I gained, especially on how infertility treatment is being availed of by patients here, my view on what can be given to patients as fertility options has been broadened. Like for example, third-party gamete donation, oocyte donation, embryo donation, and even sperm donation are things that can be done, subject to, of course, the limitations that are existing in my country. On the broader scale, I sit in the board of the Philippine Society of Reproductive Medicine, and I also am a faculty of a university which has a reproductive medicine training program. So whatever knowledge I've gained here, I'm sure that I will cascade these to my colleagues and even the future reproductive medicine specialists who are undergoing training with us. Now, as a matter of fact, 2 weeks after I come back in the Philippines, I have spearheaded a 3-part IVF series, and this is in cooperation with the local Merck Serono organization in the Philippines, and they graciously helped us with the cost. So this 3-part IVF series will help boost the confidence of my colleagues, the reproductive medicine specialists, to perform IVF. And as far as me being faculty in a university hospital, this will be an ongoing thing, not just because I have been doing this for the last few years. So as I have mentioned, I have devised a 3-part IVF series where we will tackle how to do IVF in a patient from A to Z. So that's one. And then second, I may have to do some modifications in the program that we are giving to fellows in training in reproductive medicine in the university where I am affiliated. And I think another great information that I was able to get out of this program is on how to set up my own IVF center. And the process, the suppliers, the contacts, are very invaluable. They were able to hook me up with especially an IVF a company which sets up IVF centers. So that's very helpful for me. And the way I saw how Indira IVF has been operating is something that I can also adapt in my country. So those are the key things that I want to implement when I get back to my country. So I would very much like to thank Merck Fertility Training Program under the auspices of Merck Foundation for giving me this opportunity to fine-tune whatever I've been doing for the last few years. And more than over and above this, the knowledge that I gained will give me more confidence in setting up my own IVF facility. While at the same time, I'm also very grateful for the link-ups which are critical for me to be able to translate this vision of mine to have a fertility center into a reality. So thank you so much, Merck Foundation, and for giving me this opportunity to be under the Merck Fertility Training Program.